Hi guys, welcome back. We are working today on a 2004 XC90, although this same procedure applies to all D5 engines. You just might need to look in a different place for the sensor. This is a MAP sensor, or Manifold Absolute Pressure Sensor. It's an important part of the fuel control system, which involves the mass airflow sensor, the MAF sensor that's in line, that tells the engine how much air it's getting. This one tells the engine the pressure of the system that returns some of the exhaust via the EGR valve. Now, if you had a 2003 XC90, for instance, that was registered in 2004, you might find that this sensor is just here on the Euro 3 engine. That's where it was. Slightly different story though for the Euro 4. It's hidden. So just looking at the engine here, you see we've got the manifold here. That's the end of the EGR valve, and some of the exhaust gas is recirculated EGR back up through that square section there is the end of a cooler, and back up into here. The purpose of that being to sort of cool everything down with already oxygen depleted air. Now you'll notice there's another pipe here. This one goes off and down. If we follow it round, that is the MAP sensor. The sensor itself is held in with just one little Torx bit. It's a Torx 10, quite a small one, and you're going to need some small tools to get at it unless you want to start taking all of this gear out, because there is no easy way of getting down to it. Now you could use an extension bar and a universal joint, a bit of a bend on the end, but I'm just using a little stubby wrench here to get this out. And the universal joint tool I was on about before is just an extender really, but that allows you to twist it in at an angle. You're just going to have to hold on to that end, so a little bit easier in a confined space to assist with this removal. There you go. They kind of fit in like that. A little bit awkward to use sometimes, but for this particular job, handy enough. Now I can see the screw there is wobbling around, so I'm going to be super careful with this bit. I don't want to drop this off into the body. And I'll pull that out by hand, and then the sensor itself just pulls out. And you can see the problem that you get with these. It's a sludgy old environment in there, lots of carbon, lots of oil. So these things can be cleaned out with carb cleaner, but as you can see, the O-ring here, it's important that that's not old and perished. This one is pretty hard, so I'm going to switch this out anyway. Just press that. I need to just prise the plastic clip up a little bit and remove that. Now for my money, it's easier to do this before you reinsert the new one back. A little tip for you that makes this job a whole lot easier on reassembly is I'm just going to put a spot of grease, and you can use a non-metallic grease. I've got some dielectric grease here, so I'm going to stick this in. It's just put a bit of grease around the inside of the fitting here. Now there's a rubber boot that's going to have to go back in this hole, and the friction makes it a real pain to get the new one in. So now we just need to reattach the cable. The clip goes on the side with the triangle on it, not the side with a square. That's just to stop. And there's the rubber boot that needs to slide back in place. And as I say, just a hell of a lot easier to do that if you're not fighting against friction. This, by the way, is the reason that it's easier to refit the sensor to the wire before you put it back in place, or doing all that at arm's length. Bit of a nightmare. The other thing that's a real pain to do at arm's length is put the screw back in. So again, just going to locate that before dropping it down into position. There we go. And push that down nice and tight on the top, on the flat section. That O-ring keeps it nice and tight. Then we'll just tighten the screw back up. go. So that's the Manifold Absolute Pressure Sensor, or MAP sensor, M-A-P. And just in case you need the code, there's the old one. There you go. Hope that's been useful to you today, guys. If it has, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, click the bell, plenty more of this stuff coming up, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.